What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Shuggy from Shook Earth Media, and today we are talking about The Walking Dead final season yet again. This is episode 12, 13? Let me see. 13. And it's called Warlords, and it's a really great episode. I really enjoyed this episode a lot. It feels like a kind of a self-contained storyline. Although it doesn't conclude in this episode, but it feels like kind of a one-off storyline unique to the show. But it doesn't feel like filler to me. It feels like it's all really tying in well, and I was really captivated by it, and I think it's really good. So that's just my overall feeling of it. I do enjoy being surprised by the show when it does things not in the comics and it changes the dynamics. Here we got, the new characters in the Commonwealth, aka Lance, who's a guy pulling the strings underneath Milton. He's kind of doing some shady stuff, and we get into that in this episode, and we get to see a different side of the Commonwealth that maybe it's not the idyllic place it looks like. And I really like that premise, and it's an interesting place to start. Of course, the Commonwealth in the comic series kind of end up being the good guys, and our group kind of joins them at the end. But I'm curious to see how it changes with the show, and this episode really does a lot to add a bit more complexity to the mix. So I really like that. Let's just jump right into it. We start off with, I like how they unfurl the mystery here. We start off with Elijah and this other guy at the hilltop shooting arrows at zombies. And I like that there's a great shot where the camera does like a full, not 360, but like a 180, where it starts upside down and follows the arrow. It was a really good shot, really like it. And just like last week, I said it's kind of felt weird that Lydia had this conversation with Daryl about when's it time to give up and all that, and then she didn't leave at the end. Well, here it is right here. So a lot of things I predicted ended up coming true, right? So I like that, that dynamic. And then this guard over here who you can't see convinces Elijah. He's like, hey, man, shoot your shot. And then, I like scenes like that. It's like a little, a cute thing, and it's funny. And he's like, hey, you need an escort, and that was cool. But then their plans get thrown off when a guy shows up on the horse, all bloody. He's been shot, and he's got, a map. And I like how we start this mystery. We don't know a lot, and it felt a little convenient at first, that this is just a random plot generator thing. But it's all set up later in the episode, and I like ultimately how it starts off with this mystery, and we find out later as it unfurls what actually happened. So I think this episode is just really good, man. There's not really a ton to complain about. So yeah, this is one of the best episodes this season, right up there with the Gollum dudes. And again, that was like a self-contained thing as well. So some of these self-contained stories, I don't think the storyline's going to go on for more than like 3 episodes. So I maybe this is like we build to a finale at the end of part 2 with this, because we got 3 episodes left. Episode 16 I think is the end of part 2. So I'm liking the dynamics here, and we got this nice conversation here, and Maggie does not want to take the risk of following the map. Of course, if they knew all of what was happening, if the guy wasn't shot, if he was able to tell the truth about it. I mean, there's a lot of things where it's like convenient that it happened that way, because if it didn't, like, we would know everything up front. If that guy didn't get shot, we would know everything. But it wouldn't work without it. It's perfect. So yeah, I like how Maggie used to be the one who was always taking people in Alexandria, like with Michonne at the head of security person. She was like, okay, no more outsiders, right? Maggie, I don't think ever really did that. She was always accepting people in, and now she's like playing the opposite side of things, where she needs to be more cautious. So it's interesting to see that change over time. I think it makes sense. and but they do eventually convince her to go, and I like that. So it's a really good conversation here. And then we get Herschel saying goodbye to Maggie, and this is heartbreaking. And now I'm just thinking about the fact that there's a spin-off on the horizon, and see, I almost wish we didn't know about that, right? Because it does take away a lot of the tension. You know, I know Maggie's not going to die, I know Negan's not going to die, and I just cannot for the life of me justify her leaving Herschel to hang out with fucking Negan. So, no, I mean, I like Negan, but bro, Negan murdered his father. Like, that is not okay. But we're getting distracted. Let's forget about the spinoffs for now. That's just what was running through my head during this scene. But you know, I like seeing the kids in it, you know, and seeing the next generation and stuff. It's a nice thing in these last few seasons. Then we have this car scene, and they talk about, you know, why did you say no to the Commonwealth? She's explaining herself. I think they do a better job explaining it in this scene than they did in last episode. She tells the story about how Herschel, the OG Herschel, her father, of course, on the farm, they were getting buyout offers, and they were getting basically intimidated when there was a drought, and they weren't growing crops, and they were in debt, and they were getting offered a lot of money, and there were people that left food for the animals on the porch, but they didn't take the deal. They stood through, and the food, they let the food go bad and all that to send a message, and everything worked out in the end. So that's the perspective Maggie's coming from. I do like bringing in the past, bringing in her family. It feels like we don't talk about that stuff enough on the show, especially, you know, just their past experiences, pre-apocalypse and stuff. So I like that, but I also like that Lydia and even Elijah is saying that they kind of disagree and think that we should go with the Commonwealth. Thus, this storyline. This is why this storyline exists, almost to justify Maggie's beef with them, and it's entirely understandable. But I can even see from the Commonwealth perspective how we get here. So it all is tying in really nice. But it does feel like, you know, we don't want the Commonwealth to be full villains, right? So we have some specific characters that are acting villainous, so that we can kind of quarter them in their own sphere. And so that the Commonwealth is not fully evil, but we do have some shady business going on in the Commonwealth, but it's not something where it's like, oh, we need to wipe out the Commonwealth, you know? So it's a complicated affair, and I'm curious to see how this ties in with, like, the whole rebellion storyline, and the whole, I'm assuming we're ending off part 2 with the Dwight death. Of course, Dwight's not in this show anymore, but something shocking I think is going to happen at the end of part 2 here that correlates with that, if I had to guess. But we're getting distracted again. This scene, I feel like it's a little on the nose, maybe but it's good. And then we get you know, zombie soldiers here, and I like the zombie soldiers. It's I don't think we've seen them yet, and I like that. It adds to the mystery. And part of me was thinking, oh, the Commonwealth guy's going to show up and think that they killed him. Because he's got the bloody knife and everything. But then Aaron runs up, and they got their throats slashed, and then we get a flashback. And, you know, I've kind of complained before about, we have too many, they do too many titles on the show. I don't know that we really, I mean, I guess we kind of do need a flash, just so people know it's a flashback, but I feel like it's self-explanatory, but it's a side point. I really love this scene here. Really, really like it. It's one of the, like, just the nicest scenes we've had in a while, just from the perspective of, like, a good positive message. We have Gabriel doing his priest thing, which we don't get a lot of. I really like to see it. And it's not an act, you know, he really means what he's saying. He's telling the story of the prodigal son returning. It's a Bible story where a son, the firstborn son of a family, left the family and kind of just did some hedonistic things, extravagant parties, and just, you know, lived his life, found out his soul was empty, didn't really feel anything, he needed help, he returned home, and there was this kind of beef where the other son felt like slighted by that, and I'm going too much in detail, but the point he's making is that out in the world we treated we were all strangers when we came together, but then we became family, and yet this more civilized space, we seem to keep people at a more of a distance, and the fact that we're strangers has more meaning than it did before. So I really like, he's like, why can't we have that here? So it sets up a lot of the themes of the episode, and it was just a phenomenal scene, man. I really liked it, and and then we got a mission. And this is like, I feel like we could almost have some more episodes like this. I mean, I know we're on the last season, so time is short. But I do kind of like these self-contained storylines. As long as it's not, the Reaper storyline, I'm not against the idea of having stuff that wasn't in the comics, It's just like, we just need that quality. It's got to have something new. Reapers was a lot of retreading, and it went on way too long. But we're getting distracted again. We gotta move on here. So, we got this guy here. He's like the villain of this episode, and it's a surprise twist because he's playing dumb here. I like the still we got. He's playing dumb. He's pretending that he's got this terrible plan, and they're just gonna go into this apartment complex and try to convince people to go in. Oh, and also I forgot. I do like that Aaron. His job in the Commonwealth is pretty much the same job he had at Alexandria. Just scouting out other groups, trying to bring them in. And even before the apocalypse, he was working for an NGO or something. So I like that backstory. I think it works for Aaron. That's who he's always been. So, it makes sense to me that that's what his job would be. And I like that, but this guy is somebody he was working with. And we get some backstory with him that I also like. He's just a great character. He's unhinged, but I like at the beginning I thought he was just an idiot, but he was just playing the part. So that was really cool. And my only one thing with this scene is like Gabriel is like calls him out and says your plan sucks. I don't want to be a part of it. He says, "Yeah, I'm not doing this." And then the guy just kind of says like, "Oh, we're doing it. You have to do it." And then he goes along with it. I don't know why Gabriel ultimately went along with it. Based on what he was saying, I would have thought that he wouldn't do that. So I'm not sure about that. But I like that Gabriel's there for the story. So we get the standoff thing. It's really intimidating. It's kind of a creepy group. And I thought that she was the leader. She is not. So I was wrong about that when I did my trailer reaction. And she's not the leader. So yeah. One of my predictions was not correct, but we're going through this place. The hallways and stuff, it looks like places we've been before, as in like sets that they've used before. But I like this room here. It's very creepy. Got the skulls in the corner that I actually didn't notice at first until they put the light on them, because I was focused on what's going on, even though I really should have noticed because it's pretty obvious looking back on it. But I love the dynamic of this scene. Aaron just has a talent for diffusing the situation. Now this guy, I like the complexity here because he's a little crazy, kind of unhinged, but ultimately his perspective makes sense. He's had a bunch of people come in promising things, and they've tried to hurt the community. It's his job as the leader to protect the group and have their best interests at heart. What he's saying makes total sense. His perspective makes sense. I think we could picture like Rick doing the same thing. If we didn't know about the Commonwealth, they just hop in, they just come on into Alexandria. I don't know if he might have been more civilized about it at that point, but their group, is a mystery. So yeah, this is a great scene, and I love the twist at the end. When Aaron's leading the conversation, things seem to be going well. He's able to diffuse the situation. This guy, he's pretending to be scared and stuff but it's almost like it was part of his plan. I feel like once we get his backstory, maybe he should have had a better plan going in here. But dramatically, it works, so I'm not going to complain about it. but Aaron's able to talk him down. But I mean, this guy does know Aaron's talent for diffusing situations. The whole situation blows up when they won't tell him where the Commonwealth is. And again, that makes sense because the Commonwealth knows where he is. He views them as a potential threat. It kind of makes sense. You got to look for it through from his perspective in the apocalypse. But then he interjects, oh, we can't tell you where it is. And then the conversation turns because the guy realizes that he is the one who's actually pulling the strings here. And there's a surprising twist because they have him, playing the part of the coward. Even though, I mean, who wouldn't be fucking scared when you got the end of your life in front of your face? But he's saying stuff that makes sense. I like this standoff a lot. And then the surprise comes in when the guy whose name I'm forgetting, the CIA guy, he grabs the gun, he shoots everybody in the room. And it was very surprising. And I also like the part where they light up the skulls and he's telling a story about one of the people whose skulls it is. I like that. Now, they do say, it's a religious group and all that, but they don't even really... I feel like that's just an excuse to get Gabriel here, because they don't really get into that at all. I would have liked to see a bit more detail about that. Maybe we will get it in the future. But then we get another flashback scene with Lance, and he's looking all shady, and turns out that this was a hit. This was a plan all along, that supposedly this group had stolen weapons, which they found tracks leading to this place, but nobody seems to know where the weapons are. And at the situation, I would have thought that somebody would have caved if it was true or if somebody knew about it. But this scene's good because we add a little bit more complexity to it, in the sense of this guy, former CIA, we find out, but he doesn't want to do that anymore. He doesn't want to be the assassin, doesn't want to be the shady guy. He's liking this role as an ambassador, bringing people in, being zen. He's talking about meditating. So again, adding a little complexity into it. And he even gave up drinking. So this character, this villain, Lance is showing more of his true colors. I mean, I understand, having to recover the weapons and all of that, but using these tactics, very, very shady. It's over the top for a place that's supposed to be civilized. And that's why he's trying to hide this. He's trying to keep it. And he uses threats to get him to do what he wants. That he can take away his job that he likes so much. So he's flexing his authority. So again, abuse of authority. Lance is up to some shady stuff. There's been some fan theories that he's trading people with the CRM. I'm curious to see that. The CRM, I feel like, has to be brought into this season somehow, especially if we're going to be using this finale to launch off the Rick movies in the future. I feel like that is probably the move. At least from a business perspective, it makes sense that they would want to do that. So I feel like that might be a thing. But anyways, we see that Lance, in previous episodes, the Eugene thing, yeah, that's mean that he lied to Eugene and all that. But it kind of makes sense from the perspective of these are outsiders. We need to gather intel. We need to make sure, I see it as a mean thing to do. It's a shitty thing to do. But it kind of makes sense, and it's really not that bad. This is where it goes over the line. He's sending in an assassin to pose as, immigration people, bringing people to the Commonwealth and just completely betraying the trust. And, yeah, I mean, I just like this dynamic, So we pick back up and, Gabriel and Aaron not with it, and I like that. I like that Gabriel is being more of a godly man in this, in that he does not stand for what's going on here. So I like that. And yeah, I do like, we kind of have the other shoe dropped earlier in the episode where Gabriel says he's hearing God now and he's back on the faith train. I like that he struggled with it and actually came out the other side stronger. So I like that because, we need to have a character with a different perspective. I mean, there's a lot of people that, don't believe at this point, and that's fine. Makes sense for an apocalypse, but it's nice to have a priest that, actually stuck with his faith. I think it's good for the show, so I like it. But I will say I almost wanted a bit more action here through the halls of this particular facility. So yeah, part of me just wanted a bit more action here where they're fighting the people. But I guess ultimately it wouldn't really necessarily have added too much. This is the part where this guy, he snaps. There's something wrong with him. And, he went from being a peaceful, meditating guy to now he just snapped and he's, like, just killing this guy. Yeah, this guy, he just completely snaps in this scene. He's got some mental issues, again, adding to the complexity. And he not only kills this guy, but he starts, like, kicking him after he's killed him. Crazy. And again, it's interesting. And, I think this character is really interesting. I'm excited to see him get his comeuppance, because I do not like him very much. And then Aaron says that we're supposed to be helping people. This guy says this is the other side of it. So I guess saying, it's the best interest of the Commonwealth, what they're doing. So he's playing, the subterfuge angle. He's not, I'm sure the citizens of the Commonwealth wouldn't feel great about doing this either. So, we have this little altercation outside, and, I was a bit surprised that Aaron, the guy that we see at the beginning on the horse, how he got shot, and then Aaron stops the guy from, the Commonwealth soldier from shooting, and finishing him off, even though the guy ends up dying anyway. But, I was a bit surprised to see him take it that far. I thought he would try to, distract him or take his gun away or something before he just, hits him in the face. So, that was a bit surprising. I feel like it's a bit far. But then, this is the only, one of the few negatives in this episode. This scene here, where, conveniently, the guy runs out of ammo just as he's about to shoot Aaron. And it feels like, it just feels a little too convenient. And then, of course, the other Commonwealth soldiers run in, and they have stormtrooper aim, and they miss him as he runs in the woods. Very, very convenient. I didn't really like the way this played out. I feel like it could have been a little better done. So yeah, this scene left a little bit to be desired for me. Just the way that the altercation played out felt a little too convenient. But yeah, and then Aaron runs into, or no, this is like a flashback, or flash forward, and then we flash back yet again. And here we get a nice little surprise. The flash forward that we get with Aaron is him saying that he wasn't the one who gave the guy on the horse the map and all of that to find the hilltop. And, I like that it wasn't just a random encounter with the guy on the horse, that it's actually, set up. And the nice surprise of this episode is that we get Negan. Your boy Negan. Turns out he's with these people in the apartment complex. And he's the guy who tells, he knows, of course, Gabriel and Aaron. He sends this guy off to the hilltop to get Maggie's help. So I really like that dynamic. And even though he left because of Maggie, he's the one who brought Maggie here because he doesn't want Aaron and Gabriel to get hurt, and he wants to help his own people as well. So it's like a win-win-win-win. So I'm glad Negan's back so soon. It's only been a couple episodes. I'm glad that he's in the mix. In the comic, he kind of left and then never came back, and we only get a hint of him in the last issue. Here he's here, and of course, we got the spinoff, but I'm trying to keep that out of my head for now. But yeah, I really like that dynamic, and we get to see how they helped. They were the ones who helped Gabriel escape, and then we got executions going on here. People don't know where the weapons are, and this is why I say they must not. They must not have the weapons. Either that, or the one who knows where the weapons are is already dead or something. And the leader of the group was complaining about raiders and stuff like that, and that's what a lot of the skulls were, people stealing. So I'm not so sure that it would make sense that they were doing the same thing. There's a lot of hypocrites in this world, so maybe it wouldn't matter. But it would seem a bit out of touch with what he was saying. in that scene. But he's kicking people out the building. Again, this is very intimidating. And the fact that soldiers all fall in line when he says, shoot anybody who doesn't talk. So, basically, and then Gabriel even says, like, I'm praying that you guys stole the guns, because otherwise we're just all dead. Yeah, and I think this is a new character. I don't even know if we know her name yet, but she seems to be friendly with Negan. And she gives a nice little speech here, and Negan appreciates it. She's just trying to encourage people, you know. So I like that. And, you know, we leave off with that we're fighting back. So that's the episode, guys. I really like this one. I mean, you know, how it plays off in the next episode is going to determine, you know, how I feel about the storyline overall. But very well set up. It's a unique storyline to the show. It's interesting. It's got mystery. It's got, you know, a new group. It's got dynamics. We got Negan coming back. A lot of surprises. And it doesn't feel like filler. It feels like it ties in with, you know, who Lance really is. We get a new villain. A lot to love in this episode. So, high marks. So, part 2 of this season, been pretty awesome. This is one of the better ones so far of the whole last season. And, yeah, I'm really liking where the show's at right now. So, hopefully they can keep this momentum up. Hopefully, I don't think this storyline should last too much longer. And, yeah, I'm just really excited to see how it turns out. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Definitely hit me with the sub if you want to see more Walking Dead content. And I hope to see you guys in the next video. Hit the like if you like. And I hope to see you in the next one. Thanks for watching, everybody. Peace out.